Hey guys, so wanted to provide a little bit of a refresher on creating keyframes and the beginnings of animation for Maya, because I know it's so different than Photoshop. Photoshop is you literally draw each and every single frame, but Maya is you get to create a frame on one and then create a frame, let's say like 3 or 4 frames later, and then it autofills it for you, which I know is a different way of thinking. Um, but hopefully this can make it a little bit easier when I provide like a visual for you. So let's say we're working on the ball bounce, right? So we have this ball here, and yours will have like a handle on it going around it. You want to actually be able to manipulate the actual ball itself, which is another big part about animating as well. You never actually want to animate the geometry itself. You want to animate the handles that are on it, but that's later down the line. So when it comes to animating, you can animate different sections, let's say. So whether you have a handle or you're editing the polygons or the geometry, whatever you want to call it, in the channel box over here, you'll have these values that'll show up. If you hit S, it will keyframe the entire, including visibility. If you hit Shift W, that'll do just translate. If you do Shift E, just rotate, and then Shift R will be for scale. And then if you want to just do individual ones, I'll do that, you can right click on a specific channel and then do key selected, and then that'll key that specific one. So a little bit different than it is in Photoshop, because you can do specific rotations, translations, scaling. It's very different. So let's say we're working on the ball bounce and we have it going translating up, so it's starting here, right? Also, I know I mentioned in the previous video, but you want to have this little button here, auto keyframe toggle, auto key. You want to have this turned on so it's red, and what this will do is this will save the data of a keyframe, so that way whenever you make the next keyframe, it'll automatically key it for you. So I can show you. If you have this turned off, let's say up here you have it, you just keyframe the entire one, and then you change it to 10, and let's move it all the way down here and then over here. So all of these are like a pink. They're not really red, and it doesn't really save the keyframe. But let's go back to 1 here. Let's turn on auto key, then go to 10, move this down and over. You can see in the values that I changed, it automatically keyframed them, so that way I don't have to go back in and worry about if I hit, oh, keyframe this or keyframe that. It automatically adjusted and kept the data for the values that I adjusted in the next frame, which is pretty cool. So let's say we're going from 1, let's do maybe like 10 is probably fine. Also, if I wanted you guys to have a specific number of frames for an animation, you can adjust it down here with this little bar here, or these numbers on the right or left. Obviously, you're going to want to start it at 1 pretty much all the time. The only case you'll ever want to have it go below 1 is if you're having an action start at a sequence, but that'll be much further down the line. And then these, let's say you could change to, let's say 60. And what that'll do is this number shows you the amount of frames that are visible on the timeline, and then this number shows you how many frames are in total that you can toggle through. So you have this bar that only shows 60, but you can like toggle through about 200 frames. So you can go back. But if you want your whole animation to just be 60 frames, then there it is. And it won't go beyond that. And you always want to keep this at 24 frames per second. Always want to do that. And then I think I showed you guys this as well, but you can right click, go to playback speed, and then do real time, and this will create a much better speed for your animations in preview instead of going super fast. Because I know you guys had this issue where, let's say we go to 10, I'll just show you what I mean. Go to 10, keyframe it there, and then if we had real time turned off, play every frame, it was super quick like that. But if you go playback speed, real time, much slower, much smoother, and it actually is 24 frames per second, which is what we have here. So keep it that way, keep this 24, and then just make sure that playback speed is real time, and that'll keep it at 24 frames per second. So that way, whenever you preview it and then you see your animations in Play Blast, they will be correct. So I know this is a lot of information that I'm just kind of throwing at you guys. So hopefully most of it's making sense. But let me kind of just go through, I guess, just a couple other things. So it's moving down here. And then if you wanted to, like I said before, you can kind of just, whenever you have like a keyframe, so this one was at the very start. This is the first hit. Probably keep this like over here actually. Maybe move it up. For me, what I like to do is at every major keyframe, I just hit S for the entire thing. So then that was, let's say, height was at like 4 relatively. So the next one will be at like 2. And it won't be 10 frames, it'll be like, I don't know, like 7. So then we can move it over, and it moved over from 0 to about 3.6. So we'll keep that, what is that, like 1.8. So then at frame 17, move it over 1.8-ish, and then move it up about 2. I don't think I moved it over 1.8, but let's see. From 3.6, that would be, what, 5.4? Should be around there. So let's see. Relatively. And then after you have your major keyframes, like I said before, you can just hit S to have everything keyed so it knows exactly for everything that's where you want it to be. And then just keep doing it all the way through, and then you can kind of go back and then say like, oh, actually on this frame I want it to be a little bit higher, and the same on like this frame I would like it to be a little bit higher as well. So that way you get a little bit better of a hit whenever you hit the ground. Instead of it just kind of floating, it kind of just has more of a weight to it. A little bit better timing. Maybe not as high on this one, but you get what I'm saying. You can go back and adjust them, but I would go through first, and this is that principle of animation that we talked about, keyframe animation and not just straight ahead animation. Pose to pose is what it was called. That is super essential for this type of program because it just makes it so much easier on you, because you have the object there already in full proportion. You don't have to worry about it changing up on you. You just have to know the timing for what you're going to be doing, which I know can be difficult, but hopefully you guys are willing to go with the learning curve here a little bit and get used to animating in Maya, because it really is like industry standard, and really cool that you guys have the opportunity to learn this. So hopefully the refresher helps you out a little bit. You'll be working on your weighted ball bounces for the rest of this week. And yeah, good luck to you guys.